You know, Next.js is, without a doubt, one of the biggest names in web development. It's totally changed the game for how we all build with React. But lately, you can feel the conversation around it starting to change.
So you see it everywhere, right? Powering some of the biggest websites you use every single day. So why on earth are developers starting to question its future? Well, it turns out that under all that success, there's a real debate starting to bubble up. We're talking about its complexity, its fundamental architecture, and yeah, how much it costs to run. So let's get into it. We're going to unpack the whole story of Next.js, how it got so big, the crazy new features, and the really tough questions the community is grappling with right now.
Okay, so to really get what this whole debate is about, we've got to go back to the beginning. Why did Next.js become so ridiculously popular? Well, it all boiled down to solving one massive headache for anyone building with React.
All right, so think back to the old days of React. Most apps were built in a way that all the work happened in your browser, and that meant slow load times, and it was just awful for getting your site to show up on Google. Next.js completely flipped the script by making server-side rendering, or SSR, the standard. The big idea here is that the server does all the heavy lifting before anything even gets to you. It sends a ready-to-go, fully formed page right to your browser. And the result? Bam! Instantly faster sites and way, way better SEO. It was a total game changer.
And boy, did this approach work. I mean, just look at this list. The proof is right there. We're talking about the absolute biggest names on the web. Walmart, Apple, Netflix, TikTok. The list just goes on. It's pretty clear that Next.js became the undisputed champion for building massive, high-performance websites that millions of people use every day.
One thing you can say about Next.js is that it has never, ever sat still. Just look at this timeline. Ever since it first dropped back in 2016, it's been in this constant state of crazy fast evolution. I mean, they went from introducing serverless to rewriting their core in Rust for more speed, and then they completely upended their own architecture with the new app router and React server components. This nonstop innovation, this relentless pace, it's baked right into the DNA of Next.js.
And lately, all that innovation has been laser-focused on one thing: pure, unadulterated speed. The newest versions of Next.js are all about making everything faster, especially for the developers building with it.
So the star of the show here is something called TurboPack. It's this brand new, super fast bundler written in Rust, and it's built to replace the old, kind of clunky Webpack. And what's wild is the difference it makes. We are not talking about a tiny 10% boost here. We are talking about making your production builds anywhere from 2 to 5 times faster. If you're working on a big project, that is an absolutely massive deal.
And check this out. This is all about the day-to-day experience of actually writing code. Fast refresh, you know, the thing that shows you your changes in the browser as you type, is now up to 10 times faster. 10! That means your changes show up practically instantly. It keeps you in that creative flow state and just makes the whole process feel incredibly smooth and productive.
And it doesn't stop there. They've also added this new file system caching that makes every build after the first one even faster. Just look at the numbers for a big project. You go from a 2-minute wait time all the way down to just 12 seconds. That's a 90% improvement. It's huge. The big takeaway here is that Next.js isn't just focused on making sites fast for visitors anymore, it's making life dramatically faster for the people who build them.
So, okay, it's fast, it's powerful, it's used by everyone, so what's the catch? Well, despite all that, a growing chorus of really experienced engineers are starting to raise some serious concerns. And their critique has nothing to do with speed. It's about something much deeper: the framework's fundamental architecture. This quote from Harshal Patil, a principal engineer, really gets to the heart of the matter. The whole argument boils down to this: Next.js is super convenient and feels almost magical when you're just starting out. But that same magic can turn into a huge problem when you're building a massive, complex system where you need things to be predictable and easy to manage.
So let's break that down. What does that actually mean? Well, on the one hand, you have the textbook ideal framework. It's got layers, you can swap parts in and out, and everything happens in a clear, predictable order. But the critique against Next.js, as you see here, is that it's the opposite. Its most important pieces, the CLI, the bundler, the router, they're all tangled together. You can't just swap one out. And this creates this kind of blurry, confusing situation where it's not always clear where your code is running or when.
And look, this isn't just some ivory tower academic debate. This stuff causes real-world headaches for development teams. Take something like the 12-factor app methodology. It's basically the rulebook for building solid, scalable apps in big companies. Well, the way Next.js works can actually get in the way of following those rules.
Even something that sounds simple, like, hey, I just need to run this piece of code one time when my server boots up. Well, there's no official way to do it. You have to find weird workarounds. And don't even get started on trying to make it play nice with another backend framework. It can be a real pain.
Now, this whole conversation about architecture naturally leads to a bigger, trickier dilemma. We're talking about the ecosystem, the risk of getting locked into one vendor, and, frankly, the actual cost of running this thing once your project gets big.
And this table comparing Next.js to a major competitor, Remix, really lays it all out. It's all about trade-offs, right? Next.js is an absolute beast for things like blogs, e-commerce stores, content-focused sites. And because it's so popular, the talent pool is huge, so it's easier to find developers. Plus, you get that amazing one-click deploy with Vercel. But then you look at Remix, and it's getting a ton of love from more dynamic, complex apps like dashboards. And the big kicker? You can host it anywhere you want, which can save you a ton of money as you grow.
And that brings us right to the center of the hosting debate. Vercel, the company that makes Next.js, offers a hosting platform that is just seamless. It's the ultimate easy button. But that easy button can get really expensive really fast once you start to scale. The other path is the control button, hosting it yourself on something like AWS. You get total control, it's almost always cheaper in the long run, but you need to know what you're doing. There's way more maintenance. So every team has to face this fundamental choice. Do we pay for convenience or do we invest in control?
So after all that, where are we headed? In a world where Next.js is the king, but also has its critics, what does the future of web development even look like? Well, it might not be the huge revolution you're expecting.
A lot of smart people in the industry, like Ryan Carniato, think we're heading into a new era, an era of core refinement. The idea is that the big, dramatic fights over architecture might be kind of over. The next chapter isn't about inventing some brand new, crazy way to build websites. It's about taking what we have, making it better, and getting it ready for the next big wave.
And you can probably guess what that next big wave is. It's AI. This is changing everything, right down to how frameworks are designed. The new hotness is creating AI-first frameworks. And what does that mean? It means stripping out all the complicated framework-specific language and special features. And the reason is simple, to make it as easy as possible for AI tools to generate code for you. Code that is simple, generic, and can run anywhere.
And that really brings us to the final million-dollar question that ties this whole thing together. As AI becomes our coding co-pilot, what do we really want from our tools? Do we want the magic of a framework like Next.js, something simple that an AI can easily spit out code for? Or do we want the deep, transparent control that the critics are asking for so that we, the humans, can actually understand and fix what the AI creates? The answer to that question is probably going to shape the tools we all use to build the web for years to come.